All right, what's up, fellas? I'm in the basement doing some work, and I just thought about this little moment here. Something came to me, and this is kind of a message for the guys that are, out of college, graduating, or whatever the situation is. When you're in a situation you in an environment that's undesirable. So right now I'm living with my mom. I got my sister in the house too. So it could be, it could be a little hectic. So a little irritating. So when I first got here, I was real like I was pissed, you know what I mean? So I was really angry and real snappy, emotional. I'm like, dang, this ain't where I want to be. I should have, I should be out of here. I should be doing this. And it's like you really you really can't go about life like that. And I like thinking back in college and high school and where I'm at now, it's like that all that's really just babysitting for real. You just babysitting. You just delaying what's really going on out here. College is high school. Without supervision, and then at the same time, high school all you did was get coddled, man, and get like you didn't really learn nothing. So I would recommend if you somebody that's in a position where you contemplating going home, or you want to like you or don't be afraid to sacrifice. I won't even call it freedom, or just don't get to don't be scared to sacrifice your space for going home when you were not in the ideal situation. Like I could have made a couple moves, but I just wouldn't have been in an ideal situation, and then I would have been financially obligated to live in another apartment for a year or 6 months, whatever people's leasing is. So go back home, man. Depending on what the situation is, understand some situations are clearly not the best, but if it's like okay and you just getting irritated a lot, go ahead and go back home. Because in my opinion, I'm learning so much about myself just being home. It's like you have to deal with people again. The people that really, I mean, in my opinion, people that they don't see things like you see them. You live in the quarters with that, and you gotta check yourself. For the guys especially, you gotta check yourself emotionally, and you gotta realize the situation you're in. You gotta also realize it's temporary. And I feel like these moments right now that I'm living in are teaching me a lot about myself and mentality and discipline. You gotta find yourself. Like I have to find myself, free space. Sometimes I gotta go to a shop, or I gotta, when I'm working on my craft, I go to a shop. I don't really do too much at home unless I need to. I use a computer or something like that. I do that. But I usually go out and I try to find space to work, uninterrupted for the most part. So things like that. Also, you deal with relationships. You deal with because when you get your freedom taken away from you per se, you've been living on the limb. You've been chilling when you get to college. You've been out. You ain't got to talk to nobody. You're doing good. You live with your roommate, so everything's love. But when you get back home, you got to deal with other people's requests and recommendations. We'll say it like that. You got to speak, and you got to say hello. You got to tell people where you're going, things like that. It's almost like I said, it's you get your space taken away from you. You never get your freedom or your individuality taken from you. So you just have to be able to communicate though. This is pushing me to communicate what I want, and it helps me communicate expectations. Because when you here, it's either you sink or you swim. You want to stay here for the rest of your life? No. You want to be living with your mama when you're 30? No. So you got to get up and get it. Now some people, going back to opinions, some people are living their lives now. They doing what they want. Are they happy? It don't matter. Don't get jealous. Focus on you, and you're going to be all right. Focus on you. Stay on your grind, and you're going to get exactly what you want. I'm telling you, man, these adverse times make us great. So you got to just you got to be focused in and realize, it's everything's a learning experience. This is a learning experience. When you're in a weird environment, you got to check yourself and communicate effectively. That's what I'm learning. I'm telling you, my mom, my sister, that none of them seeing things eye to eye. They never see how I see things. So I have to communicate and set boundaries. It's what it is. And that's gonna prepare me for the real world, because I'm not gonna take nothing from nobody. So, and you gotta do it politely, of course. You can't be no asshole, so do it politely. But you get better at it. Of course, I failed a couple times earlier. And I'm always checking myself. Like, did I snap? I gotta apologize. You gotta own up for your mistakes. And in times like this, the only person that's gonna hold you accountable is yourself. You have to hold yourself accountable. And a lot of times it's like that. When you're alone or you in the trenches, you gotta realize you gotta hold yourself accountable and keep that discipline. Like, it's crazy how many people told me certain things, because you push it off, because people, you're just young. I'm still young as it is, but you don't really care for what certain older people have to say. And I still don't in some cases, but I've never been a person to, like, I guess, just be totally ignorant. Some people, I might come off like super stubborn, but I'll listen. But I don't. It ain't resonate with me. When it resonates, it resonates. So things like discipline, things like staying consistent, things like building routines. I do all those things now because at this point, it's either, like I said, sink or swim. You want to stay up in here, man? Having to tell people, dealing with people trash, dealing with people. I'm a different type of person. I don't like dealing with nobody's stuff. So I know I want to be up in here, and you may not want to be in your situation because whatever it is, but you gotta look at those things as learning experiences. Seek to understand and then to be understood. Understand where people coming from. People telling you to do this and they crying and moaning about something. Instead of being getting all bent up, ask yourself what they want. Especially from a male's perspective, a lot of times right now, a lot of guys can get real. People look at society for the younger man right now is real emotional and real, what's the word? Just not emotional, but real reactive. Can't be reactive. You gotta keep it cool. You keep it cool, you make proper decisions. When you reactive and you reacting out of anger and you reacting out of rage, you make poor decisions. And also, coming back home, or and in an adverse environment, you have to deal with certain free. It's like I'm sorry. Let me catch up. It can also be a benefit when you're in an adverse environment due to the fact that you can't do certain things. Now, when you coming from college, a lot of things that you used to do. All right, a lot of partying, a lot of all that drinking, all that, whatever it is. When you come to the adverse, when you come at home or you get put in a weird situation, you may not have the ability to do all those things. So that also gives you the time to that in a way cuts out a lot of your distractions right there. And you have to go find, some people still run away, and those people, they don't get lost in the sauce. But for the people who's watching this video, you trying to do something, you got to realize you got to go out and search for peace, a peaceful space. Find a peaceful space, always in here. At the end of the day, the only way you really find peace is within yourself. You can travel, you can do all that stuff, but at the end of the day, the only way you're really going to find peace is in your mental mind. But when it comes to just physical space and people really poking you in your head, you gotta find a space. So figure out a space and realize that not every environment is totally the end of the world. You can still make it out. So you will make it. It's only temporary. Focus on your grind. Focus on mastering your craft. Focus on learning. Focus on reading. You can get everything you want. Always keep a cool head. Never overreact. Realize that you have to make a step, Realize that life ain't gonna be this easy, straightforward road. Not for 90% of us, So realize that, you're gonna run into bumps and hiccups, and that's all right. But these times make you strong. These times make you who you gonna be in the future. How you gonna raise your kids? How you gonna instill, these same principles into your child? Hopefully you gonna get some, you'll get some, come on now, you'll get some insight. I just lost my train of thought, but man, just stay on your focus, stay on your grind. Everything's gonna be okay. I'll talk to y'all later.